What's up, guys? This is episode 2 of Duuuval against y'all. How y'all doing, man? I'm your host, Zach. You can find me on Twitter at blind_side_73. It's part of the Toilets Tiles Network, man. Today we're going to be talking about the news coming out of Jaguars OTAs with some news coming at that, and of course we're going to talk about a little bit about that new kicker we just got. If you like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe. If you like any of the Toilet Tile Network, like articles, mock drafts, and then player rankings throughout the year, be sure to check out toiletiles.com. Make sure to check our sister network out on the college football channel. Review us on Apple Podcasts or iTunes. If you like discussing with us, reach out to me or Coach Sheps on Twitter, and we can get you into our gilded chat, and that's a whole nother idea and animal of stuff you guys will look into. But let's get started with this Duuuval work. All right, so talk about as you may have seen, Cam Robinson, our left tackle, is back at OTAs. He missed the first weeks of the voluntary workouts, which isn't a huge deal because not only is he facing the suspension that we still have not heard the final numbers about, if it's going to be 2 games or 6 games. He's also, remember, coming back off that season-ending injury from the end of last year, but he's still playing. He is now practicing. He is not full participant in practice. He's just doing individual drills at this time. But as we're going to get closer, he's probably going to start doing some team drills. And then, of course, once we find out the actual length of his suspension, that will be determined about how long he's going to plan, or if we're starting Walter Little at our left tackle all the rest of the year. This is big news for us because, I mean, even if he's suspended for only 2 games, for what Walter Litter has shown, I feel like he deserves to get the starting reps. He's playing as the same level as Cam, if not better, depending on pass rushers and everything. We all remember that hit against Detroit last year that Cam gave up, and we all thought Trevor was going to be out for the rest of the year. Trevor Lawrence is going to be out for the rest of the year, so we got to be careful with that. With the franchise, you got to protect the franchise quarterback no matter what it costs. I mean, Cam has been a decent player for us, but I personally feel like we need to shift him over to left guard. I feel like that would help solidify the entire offensive line, but the only biggest issue with that, which I said in last week's episode, be sure to check that out, is do we think – I'm not sure if he's been willing to make that move, because obviously left tackle money and left tackle is a lot different than left guard money. And I mean, always playing that one position, having to kick inside, it's a whole other animal. I'm not sure if Cam's willing to do that, but in order to get the best 5 out there, I feel like that would be our best option. In other news coming out of OTAs, Anton Harrison, our first round pick, is practicing exclusively on the right side. A lot of people were sure, it's like, oh, could he go left and keep Walter at the right, since Walter was in competition with Jawan Taylor last year. But it looks like he's a right tackle. He's going to be a right tackle. He's most likely going to be starting day 1 right tackle, which, having only played 1 game at right tackle, may have an adjustment period for him. But in the long haul, I believe this is going to be better, because I feel like with Cam Robinson's $17 million cap hit last year, or we could save $17 million if we cut him next year, it may make more sense for the future to have Walter Little on one side and then Anton on the other, and just go with that. I mean, these two, they're both young, but with Trevor's quick release, I feel like that's probably going to be one of our best options. And like I said, Walter Little's pass rushing is a lot better than a lot of people give him credit for. I feel like this could be an explosion year for him. I'm not saying like all pro level, but get the Jaguars offensive line respect that gets spent, should be getting. That wasn't just Jawan Taylor. And then for the other 2 people who weren't at OTAs last week, Evan Ingram and Josh Allen, they're both still have not practiced. They are due to contract reasons, is what the overall consensus coming out of Duuuval is. With Evan Ingram on that franchise tag, and then Josh Allen on his fifth-year option. They're both trying to get big new deals. Both of them, I feel like, are deserving. The only issue is with Josh Allen, he gets the pressures. The issue is with our secondary, so he doesn't quite have the quick second to get the sack and take it home. So I feel like that's probably going to be hurting him. It's like, well, your sack numbers aren't great. But I feel like he is our best pass rusher still. Trayvon Walker is the more explosive option, and he's more likely to take over the game. But Josh Allen still has had games. I mean, we all remember in 2021 or 2020, when we against the Bills and Josh Allen sacked and just took over the game versus Josh Allen, the Josh Allen game versus the Bill. So, I mean, we've seen flashes of his capabilities. He just has to be more consistent throughout the year. So I feel like he deserves their contract. It needs to not be anything record breaking, but it needs to be something decent. I would go something like a 3-year deal. Say 3 years for like 45. So it's like 15 a year. Still on the low end. I could go up to like 20, but our issue is, of course, we got Trevor's contract coming up, which is going to be a record breaker, just like because depending on when you got Herbert's coming, you got Joe Burrow's coming, and then of course just the hierarchy goes, and so Trevor's going to have to top them unless he gets his before them. So that's going to have a huge effect on our free agency and retaining our guys for the future. Trevor seems like the guy. He may take a pay cut, maybe not the extent like Mahomes has done or Brady's done in the past, but it does seem like he's the type that would take the pay cut in the future. So that may help us a little bit keep some of our guys going, but that's going to be, again, up to him, Trevor, and his contract and how he wants to do it. And this, but speaking of Trevor, this is Trevor's. It's his third year, but we all know this is our second year. We're not counting that Urban Meyer, that debacle that was Urban Meyer. Just wasn't kicking it. So this is Trevor's second year in an offense. He's starting low and more. He's taking charge. He's going up to the rookies, the undrafted guys, and telling them like, "Hey, this is how I like the routes run," or "This is, hey, do this a little bit. I can get you here. Here's the ball here. I'm gonna throw it right here." And it doesn't matter. He's going from Calvin Ridley down to the undrafted guys just trying to fight a team. So he's showing that he has the leadership qualities we are looking for, and that he's becoming and is our franchise QB for the foreseeable future. We haven't had really one of those consistently since Brunell. I personally was a fan of David Garrard. I feel like we shorted him out, but he still wasn't the consistent everyday guy that we had. But I mean, we also didn't do him with Mike Thomas and Mike Smith Walker as his main receivers. That's not good enough. So I feel like we failed him. I feel like he's one of the most underrated Jags we've had ever. But so in theory, I mean, we thought the boat was gonna, Blake Bortles was gonna get it. But I mean, unfortunately, he didn't work out. But so Trevor is still the most franchise quarterback we've had since minimum Garrard, most likely Mark Brunell in the late 90s, early 2000s in our beginning and our infancy. Which says a lot about the quarterback position, how it's been over the last few years. So him taking charge and then us protecting him is going to be the main thing that we need to worry about this year. And our pass rush, just get growing in offense. I mean, second year quarterbacks in Doug Pearson's offense is usually the explosion year. I mean, that's when like Carson Wentz would have won his MVP year, their Super Bowl run, when Doug Pearson was coaching in Philly. So we have, and that was the only year that Carson Wentz ever really had anything to. He never really came back from that injury. But just so like a baseline of what, and Trevor has a higher talent than Carson Wentz has, even including the MVP year. So, or there would have been MVP year. So we need to just make sure, just watch Trevor, watch him do it, and just protect him, and then he can take us to where we want to be. Which is bringing the Super Bowl to Duuuval County, bro. That's what we need. That's what we've been waiting for. We've got AFC Championship games of the year, but we need to go to the next level to this. And it's all starting at what they do in OTAs. So following, don't forget to, if you like this show and other shows, be sure to check out our Patreon. And that's at patreon.com/shorts to titles. We have several tiers. ranging from $1.50 a month all the way up to $20. The $1.50 amount has exclusive chats, and would have had an option to listen into special insights with fantasy players and stuff. $3 has a waiver wire pickup. So like during your fantasy league, it's like, oh, who can I look up to help me win this championship? We have exclusive episodes about that. So you guys, sleeper picks that low because someone's going to cut them. We have a $5 tier that has some merch options and everything else. So I mean, you keep a check on that. $7.50 has one-on-one draft advice. So you can ask us questions like, hey, so here's my roster. Here's our points. Who should I start? Who should I start? Who should I try to go get? Trading wise, or who should I pick up on the waiver wire? And that's just a one-on-one as opposed to the lower levels, which would just be like a more general people used to get. And then we have our $20 one. We have we do the same thing, but then we also have a 30-minute episode to like with questions of like, oh, how you do, right? So it's a little more chatting interaction is a little better than the lower level was just more of a just one-on-one. Be sure to check all those out. I mean, these are all options. It helps support us. And so we can keep putting out all this dope content for y'all and keep post titles, keep it running, man. Because without y'all, we can't be doing this. So be sure to like and subscribe, like I said, and check out all those options we got. So back to the OTAs. So there is some rumors. A lot of people were afraid because they're seeing out that Calvin Ridley they were doing popping the brakes on him. This is a good thing because I mean, with being out for a year, and then he was already having a little injury before that. It's really good. Just like we want Calvin Ridley to be with us the entire all 17 games and all the way through a playoff run, on the way to a Super Bowl is what we need him to play. So we don't want to overburn him out. I mean, with not having to be able to fully practice with the team, I mean, he could only do so much by himself at home during the suspension. So he's just we're slowing him getting back into things. This is a good thing because you don't want to get like, if you go out, we can burn him out too easy early and then he's gone. And we need him throughout the year with him and Kirk. That's a dynamic duo. So don't worry, Jaguars fans. By the time the season comes, he's going to be ready to go. So we're going to be good. Everything's going to be fine. Just so all slowdown news is it's okay. And then so all the rookies, I mean, it's a lot fully padded practice, not really full tackle yet. So it'd be more scary if someone wasn't looking good. But all the news is all the rookies are looking fine. Antoine's doing fine. The Preston Strange, our second round tight ends, looking great. The running back, Tank Bixley that we got out of Auburn, he's doing it, and you can tell he's a hard hose runner. A lot of people were shocked about with Preston Strange's drafting him that early, but looking at like the other tight ends that have come behind him, like Darrell Washington, you can tell Darrell Washington Pittsburgh's still running a little stiff with his routes, but Preston's he's running routes, he's faster. You can tell he's going, he starts going, and so I mean, even if this is the only year with Evan Ingram, which I don't believe it is, I feel like we're going to get a contract with him. We have an option in-house that we can groom up behind him slowly, so that way, if next year comes and there's no Evan Ingram, Preston Strange will be able to take over as our starting tight end and without losing too much. Even though his stats weren't great when he was at Penn State, this is a upgrade for us. This is he's a better backup than Manhurts was last year, and at minimum, he's the level of 2021 Dan Arnold, which was he was becoming a fan favorite of a tight end. So I feel like he has a good enough option. We should be good on that option. And then another pick that was very scared us with was Tank, basically, with having ETN and already in the building, having signed Dearness Johnson, having Jamal Hasty, and Snoop Conner in the building. A lot of people like we don't need a tight end, but Doug Pearson likes doing more of a running back by committee approach. And then while Etienne's still working on his pass rushing, because we all remember last year when there was obvious passing situations and it was Jamal Hasty in the lineup as opposed to Etienne. But Buck Pierce likes running back by committee. I mean, during his Philly Super Bowl run, they had 4 running backs they were rotating to with LeGarrette Blount, Smallwood, and the 2 other ones I'm blanking out at the moment. But again, it's just a run back committee. Just go. Everything works. Everything's great. So that's always an option that we have. They're good. So we need to calm down. But now the issue was he I mean, that way field goal. So Brandon McManus, he's an elite kicker. I mean, I know Patterson had a better completion percent, or not completion, but field goal percentage. But McManus, most of his misses were for over the 50, which a lot of people were, which I am personally fine with. If you're missing that far, my issue is more if you're missing like within the 40-yard range and you're missing the field goal. That's another issue. You could tell Doug didn't fully trust Riley from far out. I mean, even the kick we love for him to beat the Chargers in the playoff game, that kick was kind of going out and it was low. It could have got blocked easier, and you could tell he didn't. It was kind of like he was choking up a little bit. So we need to with McManus, he's been there, done that. He has a bigger leg. So with the kickoff, we're going to return his issues. He's going to get him through there. So McManus is the upgrade. I mean, it is kind of fun to pass his job. He took past his number 2, so because he's number 10 again here in Duuuval, but go. I mean, we go so like these guys. I mean, he's getting gang kicks. I mean, we did this with when Josh Scobie left, and we did it with Josh Lambo when he left. But for this, McManus is a huge enough upgrade, and he's only 31, so we have a few more years with him doing this. So it's going to be good, guys. We just need to pump the brakes. Don't just look at stats. Look beyond just the basic stats. Looking like, okay, why was his field goal percentage so low? Oh, he's missing from 60 plus field goals versus missing 40-yard field goals. That's a huge difference. It's a game changer. We want points. But thank you for listening to me, man. This is Duuuval again, y'all. I'm your host, Zach. You find me on Twitter at blind_side_73. Just remember, it's Duuuval. We out.
What's up, Title Tribe? We appreciate you watching the show. If you want to catch up on all of our college football content, make sure you subscribe to the CFB Nation by clicking their link below. Make sure you subscribe to the Toilets Titles Podcast Network by clicking our link below. And make sure to catch our other content by watching these videos to the side.